English history. If we go back to ancient times, we're talking typically, in most parts of the world, of various tribes surviving a bare kind of existence. And this is certainly true of England and the island of Great Britain. To begin proper our story, let's start with the invasion of England by the Romans. It was harsh as the Roman treatment of various elements of their eventual empire. Brutal treatment of the native population that was conquered. Particularly brutal in this regard, which reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from the Roman historian Tacitus, which I feel is as relevant in our own time as it was back then. What he said about the consequences of the Roman conquering of England back in ancient times was, "They have made a desert and call it peace," which I think has some profundity to it. In any case, they controlled England, the Romans did, for as long as they could, until some centuries later, eventually with the decline of the Roman Empire, we have the leaving of it, or the forced leaving of England by the Romans. That tribal society more or less persists. And we see a series of conquests of England by different ethnic groups from different areas of Europe. We have, for example, the Vikings, who come over and make their conquest and their control for some centuries. We find, and here's the term Anglo-Saxon, various Germanic tribes in their conquest. The Anglos, the Saxons, the Jutes make their conquest of England at various times as well. And all of this has their history of kings and so on. A pivotal date in English history is that year 1066. And this is where William I, known as William the Conqueror, a Norman, different ethnic group entirely, coming from the mainland of the European continent, makes his conquest of England. All of these people made dubious claims in terms of heritage and the right to the throne, the right to control the country. Dubious in almost all cases, particularly in the case of William the Conqueror. But you have this famous Battle of Hastings in the year 1066. And the King of England at that time, Alfred, the battle could have gone either way. And it's one of these freakish moments in history upon which events turn and the future turns. Which is to say, in the midst of this battle, this rather charismatic king, leader, is looking upward, and an arrow comes down, and it goes through his eye into his brain, and he's killed, and that is the turning point of the battle, and the Normans under William win, and establish that conquest and that Norman control of England, which will last 4 centuries as well. It is not my intention to go through the various series of kings and rulers and the kind of incessant fighting that is going on. You have various dynasties that will rule in England, and I will pay more attention to some of them more than others. You have the Plantagenets that will rule for a period of some centuries. But where I would like to turn would be to turn to the time of the 1400s, where you have a clash of families, famously so, the House of York and the House of Lancaster. The symbols for these families was the white rose for York and the red rose for Lancaster. And here we have climactic wars, known as the War of the Roses. And the last king of the House of York was Richard III. We know him through, essentially, Shakespeare's plays. Shakespeare's play Richard III, Shakespeare lived in the time of the Tudor Dynasty, the victors over Richard III, the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1483.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?